To make money, mine for gold, to save a nation, cultivate people. While everyone clung to immediate survival, one man staked his entire fortune on an invisible future. The humanistic heroic saga written by Gazin Shin-Yong-ho, the founder of Kyobo, began just like that. His roots were in the lineage of independence, and the seeds of national self-reliance were growing in his heart. His interaction with poet Yukase planted in him a conviction for national salvation rather than mere business. The conviction that the only way to reclaim the nation was through an awakened citizenry was his everything. In 1958, South Korea was one of the poorest countries in the world. In an era when the concept of insurance did not even exist, he introduced Daehan education insurance to the world. While Western insurance covered death, Shin-Yong-ho covered the children's learning. The era of tears, where one had to sell a cow to go to college, ended because of him. This groundbreaking model became the massive engine that formed the Korean middle class. If the highway was the hardware, Shin-Yong-ho created the software called talent to run on that road. In 1980, the massive Kyobo building revealed its majesty at the heart of Seoul, Gwanghwamun. Everyone insisted on placing a flashy commercial mall in the basement to maximize rental income. But Shin-Yong-ho's decision was firm, and no one could break it. Build the largest bookstore in the country here and let the youth drink their dreams. Kyobo Book Center, opened in 1981, became more than a bookstore, it became a national sanctuary of intellect. This decision to choose value over money completely changed the intellectual history of South Korea. Books make people, and people make books. He ordered his bookstore employees to be guardians of culture, not mere merchants. Even if they read without buying, never give them a cold look and do not disturb them. Those who copy books and those who sit and read all day are precious guests to us. He even instructed not to shame a child caught stealing a book, but to advise them quietly. His benevolent philosophy became the stepping stone for impoverished geniuses to change the world. Between the city's harsh breaths, a massive 20-meter signboard makes its appearance. It was a spot that could earn billions through commercial ads, but he gifted comfort to the citizens instead. To look closely is to see beauty. To look long is to find love. You are the same. The cold heart of capitalism was thus filled with humanistic warmth. Corporate profits flowed back into foundations that nurtured writers and rural leaders. It is the footprint of a giant who went beyond being a successful tycoon to become the textbook of noblesse oblige. In the digital age, cynical prophecies poured out saying that paper books would disappear. However, the temple of knowledge built by Shin-Yong-ho is still filled with people's heat. This is because humans crave intellectual solidarity that search engines cannot fill. The value of space designed by Shin is an irreplaceable asset even in the era of artificial intelligence. The greatest benefit the Kyobo Group receives is public trust that cannot be bought with money. The sincerity of serving people has become the most powerful intangible capital sustaining Kyobo. Where exactly did the power of Korean culture, which shakes the global village today, begin? The boys and girls who devoured books in the corners of the bookstore became today's masters. Shin-Yong-ho was a time traveler who prepaid for future creativity decades ago. A true hero saves the spirit of a nation through a book, not a sword. He is a manager who beat the logic of capital and protected human dignity. In the history of the Korean economy, the name Shin-Yong-ho will be recorded as a pioneer of human assets. The giant has passed, but the sentences he left still firmly guard Gwanghwamun. In a cold world ruled by the gravity of capital, he tells us to believe in people once again. What kind of future seed is growing in your heart right now? Those footsteps descending the stairs to gain wisdom are the very power that creates the future. The true vision told by this great record ultimately points toward people. What is the book of your life that you remember? Shin-Yong-ho believed education was the only path to strength for a resource-poor nation. He saw each educated individual as a vital asset, building the collective intelligence of the country. The human capital he fostered fueled industrialization and laid the groundwork for success. His education insurance democratized access to learning, a revolutionary concept for its time. This foresight transformed Korea from a recipient of aid to a global economic player. Kyobo's vision ensured that the dreams of education were within reach for ordinary families. Shin Yong-ho understood that true growth encompassed both urban and rural revitalization. His emphasis on education indirectly supported initiatives that fostered community spirit. He believed that an informed populace was essential for balanced national progress. The benefits of his educational initiatives permeated all levels of society, improving quality of life. His vision contributed to narrowing the gap between urban and rural areas. This holistic approach built a stronger, more integrated nation from the ground up. Beyond his humanistic ideals, Shin Yong-ho was a shrewd and determined entrepreneur. He navigated a challenging post-war economic landscape with unparalleled entrepreneurial spirit. His strategic decisions and commitment led Kyobo to become a leading financial institution. He skillfully aligned private goals with national objectives for the greater good. His innovative products not only met societal needs but also created new markets. Kyobo's success proved that human-centered business could also be highly profitable. Integrity and trust were the cornerstones of Shin Yong-ho's business philosophy. He ran Kyobo Life with a commitment to transparency and ethics that was rare in its time. This dedication to honest dealings fostered deep trust, making Kyobo a reliable partner. Kyobo's reputation for unwavering reliability was a direct reflection of his personal values. Even in an era of rapid growth and questionable ethics, Kyobo stood out. His legacy of integrity continues to guide the group toward sustained success. Shin Yong-ho's vision extended far beyond immediate gains toward a knowledge-based society. He intuitively understood that continuous learning would define future prosperity. His emphasis on education was for every citizen, preparing them for an unknown future. The intellectual groundwork he laid contributed to Korea's current wave of innovation. He planted the seeds for a future where intellect and creativity would be the greatest assets. His legacy is evident in Korea's position as a global leader in technology and education. Shin Yong-ho's cultivation of human capital had ripples far beyond Korea's borders. The workforce educated through his vision became global citizens influencing various fields. His human-centered business model inspired others and showcased a unique path to development. Korea's miracle, fueled by human investment, became a global model for emerging economies. Even today, Kyobo Book Center remains a cultural landmark drawing visitors from around the globe. His belief in people proved to be a universal language for progress and exchange. Shin Yong-ho's spirit of humanism and foresight continues to guide the Kyobo Group today. Kyobo Life maintains its reputation for reliability and customer-centric service. Kyobo Book Center remains a cherished sanctuary of knowledge, adapting to new generations. The group actively participates in diverse social contribution activities, extending his legacy. His enduring values remind us that true wealth lies in cultivating human potential. His timeless philosophy remains the compass for Kyobo in a constantly changing world. The era of the smartphone is now facing its final sunset. Elon Musk's Neuralink is not a mere device but a hardware upgrade for the human species. As of 2026, we stand on the threshold of a reality both brilliant and terrifying. A 10-part chronicle begins now to redefine humanity as we know it. The moment the brain and computer become one, the world will look entirely different. Pandora's box is open, and the question is, are you ready for this change? The magic of controlling the digital world through thought alone has become reality. Starting with Nolan Arbaugh, the number of participants has already surpassed 20. A paralyzed patient plays chess and complex strategy games all night using only their mind. This is a victory of data turning brainwaves into commands in 0.01 seconds. The testimony of feeling like a Jedi using the Force has shaken the entire world. Neural data processing has now completely erased the physical limits of the human body. The beginning of Neuralink was rooted in benevolent medicine for those in pain. Technology is now reconnecting paralyzed nerves that modern medicine once gave up on. It is a mission to return the weapon of language to those silenced by aphasia. This humanitarian vision was the gateway to attracting public support and massive capital. But Musk's gaze reaches far beyond the justification of medical treatment. The true goal is the physical expansion of the cognitive limits of the human race. The human brain is soft like pudding, making it nearly impossible to implant hard chips. Neuralink implants over 1,000 electrode channels thinner than a human hair. To avoid blood vessels, they developed a custom surgical robot that acts like a sewing machine. It now takes only a few dozen minutes to complete a full brain surgery. Musk describes this as being as simple as putting an Apple Watch in your skull. Cutting-edge robotics is now penetrating the most sacred sanctuary of humanity. The most shocking project of 2026 is blindsight, which restores the sense of sight. Even if the optic nerve is destroyed, signals are sent to the brain to make the blind see. It may start as low-resolution pixels, but this is only the beginning. Musk guarantees that humans will eventually achieve supervision beyond natural limits. The moment we see light beyond the visible spectrum, the direction of evolution changes. We are now escaping the prison of the senses designed by the Creator. Behind the flashy tech showcases lies the hidden sacrifice of countless lives. The death of over 1,500 animals during testing is the dark legacy of Neuralink. Criticism is fierce that the mad speed toward innovation has crushed basic bioethics. To what extent can the price of progress be justified? Technical flaws remain as the first clinical patient experienced threads retracting from the brain. Without overcoming the wall of biocompatibility, this technology is just a castle of sand. The ultimate destination Musk dreams of is a complete symbiosis between humans and AI. This is a survival strategy to avoid being left behind when AI surpasses us. The plan is to lay a neural highway to merge human creativity with AI processing power. Imagine a future where humans serve as the high-end computing nodes for artificial intelligence. We are moving into an era where we can no longer exist as pure organic beings. Is the birth of the digital new human a blessing or the loss of humanity? The most terrifying scenario is the possibility of your brain being hacked. Private memories and unconscious thoughts become data stored on a corporate server. What happens if corporations monitor your emotions and manipulate your decisions? This is not just a security breach, but the total collapse of the sovereignty of the self. A manufactured peace may arrive where no one's thoughts are truly their own. The one who owns your brain will eventually own your soul. The stratification of intelligence is a new poison that will brutally divide our society. The gap between children who boost memory 100x with chips and those with natural brains. The divide between those who download knowledge and those who cannot keep up. This goes beyond a wealth gap into a biological divergence into different species. We are using technology to end the history of humanity as a single unified species. The moment intelligence is converted into currency, the value of equality disappears forever. At the end of 2026, Neuralink moves beyond the lab to begin mass production. By automating the surgery 100%, they aim to lower the price to the cost of LASIK. The moment chips go mainstream, the speed of civilization will become uncontrollable. The faster the speed, the more catastrophic the crash if the brakes fail. Are you ready to put this chip into your own child's brain? In the age of the intelligence revolution, will you remain human or become a component of a god? Mars is not just a target for exploration but an insurance policy for the long-term survival of humanity. Elon Musk determined that a civilization dependent solely on Earth is too vulnerable to climate and political crises. Beyond simple curiosity, a grand design to evolve humanity into a multiplanetary species has begun. To realize this vision, the first challenge he had to solve was the astronomical cost of launches. He moved the space industry from a government monopoly to the private sector to pursue the extreme of efficiency. Armed with speed and innovation, the culture of SpaceX is shaking the foundations of a stagnant industry. The early days of SpaceX were a series of continuous explosions and devastating failures. However, for them, failure was not a defeat but the most valuable data for the next step. Even when pushed to the brink of bankruptcy after 3 failed launches, the will to try again never broke. The agile method of launching, analyzing, and rebuilding changed the speed of space development to warp speed. The vertical landing success that everyone ridiculed was an event that completely rewrote space economics. Now, a rocket is no longer disposable trash but a reusable shuttle for the stars. SpaceX is now building a massive neural network to connect the entire world beyond just rockets. The internet signals from tens of thousands of satellites erase every communication blind spot on the planet. High-speed connectivity is now possible in the middle of a desert or the center of the Pacific Ocean. As proven in the war in Ukraine, Starlink is now a strategic national asset and an essential part of modern warfare. This is a grand declaration to seize global data sovereignty beyond just a communication service. The satellites of SpaceX are removing the inequality of opportunity caused by physical distance in real time. The most massive and powerful transport system in history, Starship, is preparing for its voyage. Mocking the limits of previous rockets, it is the birth of a space truck that carries over 100 tons at once. The completion of Starship proves that lunar bases and Martian migration are no longer just imagination. The moment the 2026 Mars window opens, a fleet of 5 uncrewed starships will leave Earth. The workers who will build bases in the extreme Martian environment before humans arrive are a robot army. A massive rehearsal for humanity's first footprint on Mars is unfolding in our time. The era of harvesting solar energy 24/7 in space, where there are no nights or clouds, is coming. SpaceX is realizing the vision of converting collected energy into microwaves to beam it directly to Earth. If this technology succeeds, the chronic energy shortages and environmental problems of humanity will end. Space, free from the cooling issues of Earth, will become the optimal base for AI computing. A world where energy and data are supplied from orbit will fundamentally change human lifestyle. The era of space civilization 1.0, where Earth's infrastructure moves to the sky, has officially begun. Wall Street is now holding its breath for the largest initial public offering in history. An estimated value of $2 trillion. This is not just an IPO but a massive migration of capital to space. To secure the astronomical funds needed for Martian construction, Musk now seeks the power of capital. The secured massive capital will be fully invested in the mass production of Starship and space infrastructure. The space business that once existed only as a dream has become a financial juggernaut proven by numbers. Musk's capital gamble to accelerate the speed of space development to light speed has begun. Behind the rosy future lies a massive risk that humanity has never experienced before. The orbital congestion created by thousands of satellites can block humanity's path with a single collision. The Kessler syndrome. If orbit turns into a graveyard of junk, humanity will be locked in Earth forever. The light pollution from Starlink is hindering astronomical observation and erasing our common heritage. We must ask if this brilliant festival brought by technological progress is a sustainable future. A grave warning about what we might lose in the price of space development has begun. Imagine if the data, communication, and energy of the entire world were controlled by a single individual. It is a dangerous era where a nation's security and infrastructure can be paralyzed by a single service cutoff. The price of convenience is monopoly. It is the moment when a private company's intent becomes stronger than sovereignty. Data sovereignty disappears as global infrastructure is subordinated under the giant empire of SpaceX. The line between the ambition to privatize space and the vision to save humanity is extremely blurred. We are now voluntarily walking into the network of a massive monopoly system. The low-cost space era opened by SpaceX is a double-edged sword for nations around the world. It is a crossroads of whether our core technology will become a partner or a subordinate in the SpaceX ecosystem. The space race has turned into an infrastructure war where national survival is at stake. Without strategic space industry development at a national level, we may lose leadership forever. A desperate game of survival for each nation to endure on the wave created by SpaceX has begun. The invisible war to preoccupy the gateway to space has already arrived at our side. The history of humanity will now be clearly divided into the Earth Age and the Space Age. The communication revolution is already a daily reality, and energy and logistics revolutions are preparing in orbit. We are now at the turning point where the human species leaves the cradle of Earth and ventures into space. The vision that once seemed like a dangerous gamble to some has now become the irreversible destiny of humanity. Imagination has become reality, and at the center of that revolution is SpaceX, which redefines space as infrastructure. The next chapter of humanity will now be recorded among the stars, not on Earth.